Hi, welcome to a special edition of Cooking School. I'm Chef David Jones. Usually I'm at Georgian College, but this week we're in Moose Factory, Ontario, which is up on the south shore of James Bay. So cooking's not only cool, it's pretty darn cold. I brought a cast of characters you probably recognize from some of our other shows, and we're putting on some special functions and providing training to the staff here at the Cree Village Ecolodge. I'll be right back, and we'll show you just how cool cooking can be. We just got on the train in Washago and left at about 10:30 this morning. We should get up to Cochrane at about 7:30 tonight. It's a long train ride to get to Cochrane. Then we're going to spend the night at the Station Inn in Cochrane, and then it's going to be another 5-hour train ride from Cochrane up to Moosonee. Once we get to Moosonee, we'll pick up some vehicles and drive across the frozen Moose River to the lodge on Moose Factory Island.
The expectations we don't know about. It's knowing what food products are available when we get up there, and to create this menu, which is going to be a healthy item, well, or items, and so that's going to be quite the project when we get to see what's there.
It's a spectacular place. You know, staring out on the ice road and watching the vehicles cross it, and you know, the sky is beautiful and blue. It has a character all its own. And the Ecolodge is a wonderful place to stay. The rooms are nice, comfortable, and I'm looking forward to seeing Greg again and the staff in there and seeing what they've been up to the last year. So
they find the easier route to go to the grocery store and the greasy spoons.
yeah.
Well, even when they come to the restaurant, they go for the hamburgers and the hot dogs and the poutine. That's
You want
not
the
good
French
for
fries
them.
beyond it.
Yeah.
Like one of the biggest problems right now in Canada is the diabetic rate. It's gone up 79% in the last 5 years. It's doubled what they planned on or expected to have the rate go to, and it happens to be in a native population even higher rates. So it's all because we've changed their natural diets from the way they used to have it years ago when they lived off the land. And so they used to have a healthy diet. Now they've changed completely around and got into a non-healthy diet.
You know, you also have to consider that a more healthful diet has a wider variety of flavors and textures and colors and all kinds of different things, and that becomes more interesting if you take the time and effort to produce it and cook it in a proper manner.
I think one of the difficult factors for the lodge is staff turnover. So the training of staff to be able to do this type of food, as soon as they get one train, they seem to lose them. So they must have a difficult factor there in that process.
And I think that's always the challenge for us here is to find ways to get people to see themselves with new eyes. Because I think for the most part we see something like cooking or preparing food as an isolated act for family and friends, but we don't necessarily see that as a public reflection of our values or of our culture to other people. We might do it amongst ourselves in the community, but I think that's the transition that we need to make, is to say we can do this, we do this anyway, but if we're going to do this for people who normally we don't interact with or don't share a meal with, what is it that we need to say about what we're doing here to make that something that's of value to us, and then part of the exchange of the sharing an experience.
Our plan going to Moose Factory was to not take up any menus, not take up any recipes, not take up any ingredients. We were going to source ingredients from the local grocery store and put together a nutritional menu based on what we could find there. That was the plan. Well, as we found out in Moose Factory, nothing goes according to plan. At about 10:10, we found out that we were doing lunch for 12 people at 11:30. So without knowing the kitchen, without knowing what was available, we scrambled and we put together a nice menu that's going to be ready at 11:30. Well, we have the soup. We're just going for 3 courses for lunch, just a soup, a main, and a dessert.
And yeah, I guess.
What do we have for proteins?
We went to one of the guest rooms to strategize. We wanted to try and come up with a menu. We had a very short amount of time. We didn't know what was available, what food was in the refrigerators or the storage areas. And we sat down and we just bounced around a few ideas to see if we could come up with something for lunch.
Shall we go on a scrounge and see what's in the fridge? Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Chefs?
Good day.
Good day.
Good morning.
Chef Roy found all the ingredients to make soup for lunch. He sweated off some bacon, some carrot, celery, onions, added some diced plum tomatoes and let it simmer, added some seasonings, and ended up with a beautiful dish ready to serve. Chef Monty added some lemon zest to add a little bit of zing to the dressing. We used 2 kinds of cheeses on the pizza, shredded mozzarella and some grated parmesan. The pizzas were very nicely topped with some grilled vegetables. We had onions and peppers, a zesty tomato sauce, the cheeses, and the roast chicken that was sliced up into strips placed on top. Bonnie came up with a simple dessert. She found some blueberry sponge, added to that some yogurt, and garnished it with orange segments.
We'll be right back to show you how it all came together on Cooking School.
It's time to pot up.
Lunch started with Roy's tomato and bacon soup. It was a big hit. The flavor of the bacon came through with the tomatoes, and the soup had a really hearty texture that really was nice on a very cold Moose Factory day. We used pita for the shell of the pizza. We accompanied the pizza with a heart of romaine with blackberry vinaigrette. Bonnie sprinkled some granola around her dessert that added a nice crispness and color. It was a real team effort. Everybody chipped in to help out.
Chef Roy and I thought we could rustle up some real indigenous ingredients. We went out in the bush this morning to see if we could rustle up something for lunch. Well, Roy and I didn't have any luck this morning, so we've come across to Moosonee to the northern store, where the chefs and I are going to look through the shelves and see what we can put together for a nice, nutritious menu.
This is a pretty.
I don't think we came into this one last year. We were on the other
We're on
side.
the other one?
We were on this factory.
You mean to tell me it's better on this side than on that side?
Yeah.
I know, that's what I'm thinking.
Now that's good. That's good stuff
That's-
right there.
Works for me.
Yeah.
Born little thing.
Hey, look, the tar salad.
Yeah,
Grow in North America, cantaloupes, right?
yeah,
Cantaloupe. Melon in there
yeah.
with whatever grain we find.
Yeah.
And then another type of thing, something like avocado, but avocado is not. I mean, we've got
With like a vinaigrette or something?
with a vegetable vinaigrette.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
A calorie and I have to stay with what's here. Carnation milk they have, right? Jello they have.
Yeah,
So if I make a mousse out of that, it's nice and light.
yeah.
And I think they had cheesecake and lunch. So I'm gonna do a trio or something.
Some's tonight?
a dessert for tonight.
I thought Roy gave you the night off.
I thought so too.
You've got the night off.
Okay, so Roy's on dessert
Look,
tonight. What are you
there's a
making
can of
tonight?
pears. They're raw.
I'm not. It'll be Matt.
There's canned pears there.
Matt.
Right on.
Let's go
Heather,
look.
you're on dessert details.
Let's start
That's
the
why we
frozen
brought you
food
up.
section.
Frozen fruit?
Yeah, no, food. Let's go over there.
Okay.
Frozen fruit that you can use. We have all this nature's best.
Strawberry.
What about the boiling bag?
No.
Isn't that what you use at home?
Toothbrush for Brian.
Oh.
Forgot his in Cochrane.
No, it's surprising what they did have up there. I mean, we found brown rice and all the different things that we wanted to use. I mean, it came from the supermarket with ideas and it was put together.
Yeah, items they had up there for low fat, little sugar use and everything else. There's really no excuse for eating chips and things like that because there are nutritional things up there.
And, I particularly like the commando cooking that we were doing, wandering off to the supermarkets and finding whatever we could to produce the menus is always a favorite thing of mine.
I think it's the same as anybody would do in their house. You got to go with what you've got locally and make it from there. I think it's more interesting that way.
And it's the same thing about something like cooking and food preparation. If people aren't in tune with that, or if people aren't appreciating that fully, then they don't think it's occurring. But I think that's our task here, is to try and bring that aspect forward in terms of this experience that we offer at the lodge at some point. It's always going to be our challenge, I think, is to try and find ways to bring those kinds of ideas and those kinds of expression, cultural expression forward.
Well, yeah, that's one night, one tomorrow night.
Well, no, one tomorrow. Berlin's one tomorrow night.
Jerry didn't want to run.
We didn't have anything in mind before we came. We went to the store yesterday, and with whatever was available, we put a menu together. And as they say, the proof of the pudding's in the eating, so we'll have to wait and see what happens when our guests have had our meal, and we'll get some feedback from them to see if we were successful. Well, guys, we better get back to the kitchen and finish off our mise en place, all our prep, ready for dinner service tonight. We'll be right back on Cooking School. So this is a sharp-tailed grouse that got lucky and got this morning. We're going to field dress it, which is a little bit graphic, but it's a very efficient and quick way to get the best part of the bird. With the grouse, you find that the drumsticks and the thighs tend to be very tough and stringy without a lot of meat on them. They're great for making stocks, etc., but for roasting and so on, it's going to be too little meat on the bone. So I'm just going to take the breasts off. And probably the quickest and easiest way to do this, and normally this gets done in the bush, is to spread the bird's wings out with the bird lying on its back. And then we're just going to step down onto the wings without falling over in the snow, and hold onto the bird's feet, and then just firmly make sure you've got a good grip on the wings, and pulled its feet and viscera out in one shot. Then just peeled the feathers and skin off the breast and was left with the double breast. Boned it out and butterflied it, stuffed it with a nice mirepoix with some apples and blueberries, and then rolled it up into almost a galantine and wrapped in bacon to lard it so we can impart flavor and moisture from the fat. And I'm roasting it, and then we'll let it set for a while so the proteins will firm up, and then we can carve it into nice thin slices. We've got to serve about 20 people with about an 8-ounce partridge breast.
We're like 10 minutes away, guys. 10 minutes.
10 minutes to walk here?
Yeah, they're gonna have a glass of wine and then we'll start the cooking. Yeah.
We found some wonderful brown rice. We found some cantaloupe melon, which has beautiful colour, and some tomatoes. We also added to this some green peppers and a dressing we wanted to be really nutritious. So we made a vegetable stock, which we then chilled and made a vinaigrette from that, and a balsamic fig vinegar, which produced a nice dressing to bind these salads together.
So you were looking at color, texture, and nice shapes, all to fit in this nice cylinder. Well,
You know when I eat, you know when I know something's really good is when I eat something I get goosebumps. Does that happen to you? You get goosebumps when you
that's nice.
hairs on the back.
Matt, you were working on some bread today, some beautiful walnut bread. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we're looking for something that was a little bit different than the usual rubber buns we've been these service operations. And so I wanted something that had an earthy look to it. And so I went with oven toasted walnuts and molasses, of course bread flour, a little bit of oil in the bread, and did it sort of a sourdough hybrid style. I started this sourdough started the night before. The Italians call it diga. It takes about 12 to 24 hours to make this, and that adds a certain richness to the bread and gives it a real good character.
So you were looking at whole grains, you were looking at some unprocessed sugars in there, some nice fiber and so on. So very, very nutritional, very healthy, and a nice density.
Chef Flet, my hat is off.
How about that one there?
This is a steamed pickerel.
We got some spiced orange tea steeping in the steamer unit, the makeshift steamer unit.
It's wrapped in blanched romaine lettuce leaves. There's a slice of apple in there, and it's on
A couple different little racks in the bottom, and a little bit of the tea underneath. It's just coming up to boil now. It's going to create some steam. And we got the cranberry relish. It's got red onions in it, it's got apples in it, it's got orange segments in it, it's got orange rind or a grape.
And it's garnished with supreme of orange. It's a nice looking recipe. I have to remember it.
We're going to have a grilled chicken, which is a nutritional way of cooking, but alongside that we're going to use root vegetables. They're going to be roasted, which is again is a nutritional way of cooking. And we're using the root vegetables basically as the starch on the plate. And then with that we're going to accompany it with a broccoli.
That's right. Well, we felt there were enough carbohydrates in all the other courses.
Yeah.
You know, we've got rice, we've got bread, we've got carbohydrate in the dessert. We didn't really need any more carbohydrate added to the meal. But this is marinated supremes of chicken. The supreme is a boneless, skinless breast. Chef McQueen asked that we leave the bone in, the wing bone in, just for presentation purposes, but all the rest of the bones are out. It's been marinated in some sautéed vegetables and oil, just to give it a little bit of flavor, some nice herbs in there. And also the oil helps it to grill properly so it doesn't stick. We're marking it on the grill and then we'll finish in the oven so we have nice even cooking. And that's going to be served on a bed of roasted root vegetables.
Oh.
And he wants me to go up this
Uncle Roy's got hot veggies.
They are hot, aren't they?
I'll say. Steamy little devils.
And Bonnie, you were looking at the challenge with the youth days. For us, it's relatively simple to come up with something that's nutritious. When you get into desserts, a lot of the ingredients that make desserts so flavorful and tasty are things that really aren't healthy for you. So, you know, the processed sugars, the oils, the fats, and so on. So how did you get around that to come up with your dessert?
It wasn't easy. I couldn't use my 35% cream that I like to use, so I went to the non-fat condensed milk from Carnation, of all things. I mixed that with a little bit of Jell-O, so I had a nice lemon fluff. So it's, if you want sugar-free, you can use a sugar-free Jell-O. So that cut out a lot of calories and a lot of fats. And then I did a chocolate ganache cake, and I used a dark chocolate, so dark chocolate is good for you. The cake is very, very thin, so there's not that much sugar or flour or anything else in it. So, and the rest is all fruit.
Right, so I think you met the challenge head on and did a great job.
Well, one of the problems that we have generally in Native communities, but in particular this one as well, is the high prevalence of diabetes, for example, and other particular ailments that are reflective of diet and changing diet and also changing lifestyle of people. And I guess one of the things that we've tried to come to terms with here in terms of operating this Ecolodge, it's got 20 rooms on the one side of the house, but we also have a restaurant on the other side. And our goal here is to try to create an experience that is a healthy one for anybody that may come through here, but in particular from the community perspective. If we've got concerns with people with diabetes, we want to try to create a menu and create choices that educate people and inform them of what in fact they do have in terms of choices as to what we put into our bodies. And if we're concerned about those things, we felt that we needed to deal with that in relation to this business that we're trying to create here. And so I would say that, you know, from day one, it's been something that we've been mindful of. At times we've addressed it and felt that we've done reasonably well on that, but it's an ongoing challenge, I think, for us to continually improve upon our menu, continually improve upon educating our consumers, whether they're local or regional or international. And I think that you know, it's going to be that way for the future, just based on knowledge of you know, the quality of life from a health point of view from First Nation communities generally.
It's a beautiful area. Like to see it in the summer without all the ice, but otherwise it's been a good time.
You know, we found that there were a lot of challenges that we had to overcome in order to produce the food, and it was kind of going in there and almost making the kitchen your own, and then getting the menus done and getting everything organized, and, you know, training staff and getting them on the same page. But everyone seemed to toe the line and get in the same frame of mind that we were into, and all the food was appreciated, which was the bottom line, which I think every chef looks for, is that gratification after a lot of hard work.
I love it. It's so pretty, the sunsets and the stars.
The people in the community can find lots of ingredients to make nutritional meals in their homes, and there's not an end or a limit to it as to what they can do, because they can also get in their own natural fish that they're catching, their game they can incorporate in, and stay away from the fast food chains.
Well, they're not big on fruits and vegetables up there, we found out, so I don't know.
I think overall, the meal was accepted well by the people that we prepared it for, and they seem to enjoy everything. I could tell that because most of the plates all came back empty, which is good.
It was really great traveling with chefs because they bring all the food, and it's not just your usual fast food. It's nice cheese and crackers and wine and great food on the train.
We had a great time traveling to Moose Factory. We really bonded as a team. We hope we left behind a little bit of a better understanding of how to prepare nutritional meals, how to shop more effectively, and to prepare the food using methods that help to retain the nutrient value. We'd like to thank the staff of the Cree Village Ecolodge and all the members of the Moose Factory community for making us feel so welcome. Miigwech. This is Chef David Jones for Cooking's Cool. See you next time on Rogers Television.
Right, it was great.
I don't know these people.
Your mother will say, what